Jacy Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles.
Chaos erupted the moment Jacy Sheldon's outstretched fingers invaded Caitlin Clark's personal space. One jab, one unmistakable poke to the reigning rookie's eye, and a mundane Tuesday matchup detonated into the season's biggest controversy.
Caitlin Clark and Jacy Sheldon. There is a legitimate hatred there. If you guys don't know the whole situation, in college, Jacy Sheldon, as far as I'm aware, might have been the only player. Well, I think Ohio State might have been the only player to have had a winning record through over 4 years against Iowa.
This wasn't hustle. It was a surgical strike delivered on the league's brightest billboard. The broadcast gasped, Fever fans screamed, and social media morphed into an inferno before the refs even finished blowing the whistle.
I understand college is college, pros is pros, but at the end of the day, these two players, you can hate a player from college and you can still hate them in the pros.
The replay left no doubt. Sheldon lunged, eyes locked on Clark rather than the ball, and her hand never came close to leather. Instead, it landed flush on the superstar's face, then clamped her forearm for good measure. Within seconds, Marina Mabrey cannonballed into the frame, shoving Clark to the hardwood like a cheap wrestling heel piling on.
Mind you, Jacy Sheldon has been hitting Caitlin in the face all game, fouling all game. The refs don't care. The refs act like their whistles are broke. She's fouling her nonstop again, hits her in the face.
Still, officials settled for a flagrant one. No ejection, no deterrent, just a shrug. That shrug ignited a fan base, already convinced the league has an open season policy on its ticket-selling phenom.
The three referees that I like to say, they got them straight out of Sephora because I don't think these referees have ever refereed a professional basketball game in their life.
Suspend Sheldon shot to the top of X and TikTok almost instantly. Comment sections filled with freeze frames of the eye poke, slow-motion breakdowns, and expletive-laced pleas for a multi-game suspension. People who'd never watched a Sun Fever game suddenly became armchair prosecutors, dissecting angles like they were Zapruder frames.
Jacy Sheldon kind of jumped on top of Caitlin Clark, kind of grabbed her, and Caitlin Clark kind of swung back at her. Like, these two players have had battles, and nobody can bring out the demon in Caitlin Clark. Like,
context matters, and this rivalry is older than Clark's pro career. In college, Iowa and Ohio State waged back-alley wars that left bruises on box scores. Sheldon was the Buckeyes' irritant-in-chief, shadowing Clark 94 feet and chirping in her ear for 4 straight seasons. Tuesday felt like an encore. Same players, higher stakes, national spotlight. Only now, Clark carries an entire league's growth curve in her backpack. Numbers don't lie.
Blatant, hit her in the face. Now you're back in her face, back up. Now you just come. If that doesn't get you ejected, what has to happen for you to get ejected? Do you have to murder somebody on the floor? Like, what is going on with the WNBA?
A finance professor recently calculated that Clark generated 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity last year and projects nearly $1 billion of value in 2025 alone. The Indiana Fever's valuation ballooned from $90 million to $340 million before she finished her rookie contract. Meanwhile, her paycheck is $78,000, roughly what an NBA benchwarmer makes per quarter. Protecting that asset isn't just fair play, it's fiduciary duty. Yet the deterrent for endangering that asset was a flagrant one worth a few $100s. By contrast, Sophie Cunningham, who stepped in to deck Sheldon later as payback, ate a flagrant 2, an ejection, and a heavier fine. Message sent: assault the superstar and pay a parking ticket, defend her and lose wages. Fans called it firefighter versus arsonist justice, and the optics were brutal. Mainstream voices piled on. Jimmy Fallon ditched the monologue punchlines to plead, "Protect Caitlin at all costs." Dave Portnoy torched Sheldon and Mabrey as jealous loser punks. Even normally, neutral analysts rolled highlight reels of uncalled fouls, drawing red circles around Clark's bruises like a true crime board. Every segment ended the same way. The league can't keep punting discipline while cashing Clark's checks. Online petitions surfaced overnight, demanding minimum $25,000 fines for violent fouls and automatic suspensions for repeat offenders. Another popular idea, a protection bonus that forces violators to forfeit a slice of their salary directly to Clark. It's vigilante capitalism, but supporters argue nothing short of wallet pain will stop players from turning games into poorly lit street fights. The referees sit at the epicenter of blame. Clips show them staring at Clark sprawled on the floor as if she were invisible luggage on a carousel. They whistle the aftermath, not the strike, and the delayed optics fuel conspiracy theories that the league secretly enjoys the drama. In reality, inconsistency is just incompetence wearing a striped shirt, but perception becomes gospel when stakes are this high. Behind closed doors, agents are already calculating escape routes. European clubs dangle seven-figure salaries, private jets, and guaranteed security details. If the WNBA can't guarantee both safety and fair pay, why wouldn't Clark cash those foreign checks? 54 Golf proves stars follow the money. Women's basketball could witness a similar migration if its crown jewel keeps getting treated like a crash dummy. The league office insists it reviews every incident, yet its statements read like corporate mad libs. Player safety is our top priority. Meanwhile, highlight compilations of Clark's bruises accumulate millions of views, each clip eroding that boilerplate line. Fans aren't asking for special rules. They're asking for the existing rule book to be enforced before a billion-dollar asset ends up in concussion protocol. Or worse. Complicating matters is the envy factor. Clark's arrival exploded ticket sales, sponsorships, even secondary market prices, while veteran salaries remained capped. Some players see her as a walking pay disparity and treat her accordingly. Instead of channeling that jealousy into better collective bargaining, they weaponize elbows. That dynamic will fester until leadership acknowledges the elephant and starts paying everyone closer to market value. For now, the solution seems simple: deterrence. Hike fines to numbers that make locker rooms gasp. Suspend on first offense, not third. Elevate the replay center's authority to upgrade fouls in real time. And publish transparency reports so fans know discipline isn't spun on a roulette wheel. Do that, and the league protects both its star and its credibility in one stroke. Players like Sheldon might think twice when one reckless swing costs half a season's earnings. Coaches would adjust schemes, referees would whistle earlier, broadcast partners would breathe easier. Most importantly, Clark could focus on breaking records, not breaking drills. The league's growth charts would keep climbing instead of flatlining under a mountain of negative publicity. Because here's the brutal math: lose Clark for a month, and national TV ratings dive. Lose her for a season, and sponsorship renewals start evaporating. Lose her permanently, and the league volume knob turns back to background noise. No marketing campaign can offset that kind of revenue vacuum. The WNBA is not just protecting a player, it's safeguarding its own future. So where do we go from here? The ball, pun fully intended, is in Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's court. Upgrade Sheldon's penalty, refund Cunningham's fine, and send a memo that superstars are investments, not crash tests. Pair that memo with a structured bonus pool that rewards players for clean play rather than hospital bills. Make the change now, before the next headline starts with season ending. Until that happens, every hard foul on Clark doubles as a public relations grenade. Each boom echoes across late-night TV, sports radio rants, and Wall Street spreadsheets measuring sponsorship risk. The league can either pull the pin on its own momentum or diffuse the situation with decisive governance. One choice builds a dynasty, the other builds resentment, and eventually relocation brochures. As for you watching at home, this isn't tabloid drama. It's the collision of commerce, culture, and competition in real time. Drop a comment. Do you hammer Sheldon with a suspension or trust fines to do the job? And if you're Kathy Engelbert, what would your first memo say? Hit like and keep the conversation alive, because the future of women's hoops hangs in the whistle. Meanwhile, Sheldon's own reputation is now sliding down a razor blade. She entered the league marketed as a gritty perimeter defender, but highlight reels of her offense-hunting eyeballs have drowned out any talk of laterals or steals. Sponsors notice, rookie shoe deals vanish when a name trends for violence. A multi-game suspension, paradoxically, could salvage her image by showing contrition and spacing out the news cycle. Until that happens, every hard foul on Clark doubles as a public relations grenade. Each boom echoes across late-night TV, sports radio rants, and Wall Street spreadsheets measuring sponsorship risk. The league can either pull the pin on its own momentum or diffuse the situation with decisive governance. One choice builds a dynasty, the other builds resentment, and eventually relocation brochures. As for you watching at home, this isn't tabloid drama. It's the collision of commerce, culture, and competition in real time. Drop a comment. Do you hammer Sheldon with a suspension or trust fines to do the job? And if you're Kathy Engelbert, what would your first memo say? Hit like and keep the conversation alive because the future of women's hoops hangs in the whistle. Meanwhile, Sheldon's own reputation is now sliding down a razor blade. She entered the league marketed as a gritty perimeter defender, but highlight reels of her offense-hunting eyeballs have drowned out any talk of laterals or steals. Sponsors notice, rookie shoe deals vanish when a name trends for violence. A multi-game suspension, paradoxically, could salvage her image by showing contrition and spacing out the news cycle.